the best way is IVF.
Mentally accept and emotionally accept that we are going through IVF.
It's all just quite daunting as well, you know, like, you don't get taught about these things.
Yeah. Did I dream that it would take this long? No. Am I grateful that we still have this option? Yes, but it doesn't mean that I still don't have to grieve the last few years.
Everything's determined on the last thing going okay and stuff, so it's difficult.
God, it's quite surreal, really, isn't it?
Do you want to watch or not?
Yeah.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
That could be the start of
Lots.
Alright, hey guys, welcome back and welcome to another Trying to Conceive and IVF Diaries.
Part 3.
Part 3.
We're at the IVF time.
Yes.
We are at the IVF stage of our process. There's actually quite a lot more information, I'd say, in this video that we've intentionally left in because a lot of conversations with consultants and stuff like that. So really we just wanted to jump on and give a really, really quick, brief overview.
Yeah.
And then hand you over to, what would it be?
Past us.
2023 July.
Okay. Yeah, so the last of the diaries finished up when Emma had just had a hysteroscopy.
Privately. Yeah.
And that's when we kind of found out that a kind of diagnosis that we kind of got wasn't quite right. But yeah, you can go back and watch that. But yeah, so we had that. And then we had a period of kind of like 4 or 5 months where we would just be trying naturally again. And the private doctor sort of said, that's the best thing to do. You've got a great chance of conceiving now. Like, everything looks really good. So in that kind of period, our NHS referral for IVF was kind of ticking along in the background.
It was still in the works, yeah, from the previous year.
Yeah, from Emma's GP. You know, thankfully, 4 or 5 months later, we got a letter from the NHS to say that we were to go for an appointment or a consultation with one of the consultants.
Do you remember our appointment got brought forward in some sort of...
It did, yeah.
It was a freak situation that the one day that our appointment that was meant to be on in September, the clinic was closed. I remember it vividly. It was September 14th, which is so weird because that's just a couple of days gone from now. September 14th, we were meant to have it, and then we got a call to say it had been cancelled, and immediately my heart just went like, you're joking, because you were still months away from that.
Yeah.
But in some sort of luck of all chances, and also me chasing, it got brought forward.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit sooner than we initially thought it was going to be.
It was.
In May was our first one.
That's right. Yeah, actually, that was in May.
But the first one you'll see is our second consultation in July.
Yes. May was just kind of that, like, are you eligible? Are we doing this, basically? And then once that was decided, then you kind of go back onto a waiting list, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
And in the meantime, so between that May and July appointment, we went in for a blood test and a scan.
Yeah.
What they would call at that time a baseline scan, which we didn't really understand why, because you would have to have that same scan again when you were to start IVF. But I guess it's just for them to get a lay of the land, because they would not have seen anything like in person without looking through reports up until that point.
So when we had the private consultation, as you'll see, we met with a fantastic doctor who we actually grew to like kind of love.
He was great.
He was fantastic. Yeah. So he had all the information for us, and that really starts our IVF journey.
So you'll see we've left quite a chunk in of our appointment with the consultant, because even looking back at it, it was very useful. And he spoke about the first stage sort of being taking progesterone tablets, which the one I had was northisterone. You take it for a period of time set by them. It's usually 2 weeks or less. And then you stop taking it, and then you have a cycle, but it's actually a withdrawal bleed. Like, it's an artificial cycle, because that's when they know then they need to start the injections.
Yeah.
So they sort of, what's the word? control your cycle with those tablets. The only other thing to say as well from that appointment with the consultant is we left in some of the timelines that he mentioned. And I mean, especially if you are watching this and you're going through this journey, please just be very mindful that that's the ideal. That potential 20 days that he said from starting the process to potentially having an embryo transfer or starting your injections and then having your transfer was like less than a month. And I don't know how common that is. That's not what happened for us. Ours was much later. There were several things and delays and things that came into play.
Months and months.
That we will go into in the next video. But I just think, you know, if you are watching, especially if you're going through it, because you cling on to days, don't you?
Yeah.
Like when we heard that, we were
amazing.
we were like planning out the months to think like, oh God, imagine if we have a transfer before the end of the year.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny looking back on it.
When you look back on it, it was very far from what we had. So just be mindful that that's how it can sometimes go if things go completely to plan and to procedure or whatever they do. But don't dwell on that too much, because we did. It didn't go that way for us.
And I think probably in hindsight, I understand why in that consultation he didn't go for all of the little nuanced positions as to kind of what could happen. But I kind of wish that we'd known some of these things.
I think I wish we'd known
what could possibly be delayed. Like, I didn't really understand also that at that point that the fresh transfer is only if things are looking really good and you don't have overstimulation, which I think is quite common. Anyway, we'll go into a lot more detail in the next video about all that stuff.
That's a really good point, actually, because in the video as well, it does say that you get one. This is on the NHS, so here in the UK where we live, if you get one fresh and one frozen, that as well did not happen for us. We lost our fresh cycle for a few reasons. We were then not considered eligible after my egg collection. And then looking back now, really, there was so much that could have gone differently.
We didn't know.
No, we didn't know.
So then you'll also see Emma starts medication, some injections to stimulate follicle and egg growth. And yeah, that's kind of where we get to this video.
It is. That was our first stimulation cycle.
That was the first, and it was not the last.
It was not the last.
A little sneak preview.
So that's where this one ends, with us taking that very, very first injection of our first stimulation cycle in September 2023.
So let's hand you back to July of 2023. Yeah, and where we start our IVF journey.
I'm one of the doctors, and nice to meet you, Emma and Matthew.
You too.
So everything looks straightforward, guys. What are your thoughts? What would you like to do?
What's our options?
Yeah, we've not really been told. We just got told that we had that scan in June and the blood tests, and then we were told we would wait for this and to basically know our next steps.
So yeah, Emma, everything looks perfect. All the investigations from both of you guys are very normal and reassuring. Obviously, you've been trying for a long time, so the question is why have you not fallen pregnant? But everything we've done looks very, very normal for both of you guys. And indeed, actually, 1 in 4 women that we see in this clinic will have unexplained infertility. So 3/4 will have will find something to explain that, but a big minority of 1/4 of women of couples will have unexplained infertility. Now, how do we proceed? I mean, really, the best way is IVF.
So I guess our question is kind of what is the IVF sort of road from here, and how would that sort of play out, really?
Essentially, what I do, I will send the admin team a message to say that Emma and Matthew are good to go. So they will contact you within 2 or 3 weeks' time. Now things move faster from this stage. and they will do what we call coordination appointment, which is with one of the specialist nurses. So during the coordination appointment, they will give you a little bit of more information of the logistics and what IVF involves, which we can also touch on today. They will give you a tablet, Emma, which is basically progesterone, which will help you to have a bleed, because in order to start IVF, you need to have a period. And of course, you can have a period, but usually we tend to give progesterone. But and then once you stop progesterone tablets, then you have a bleed. So you have a withdrawal bleed. So we cause a kind of an artificial period, because it helps us to control the timing and the day and so on. And then once you have a period or a withdrawal bleed, then you come in on day 2 of that cycle, and we scan you, and if we're good to go, we start the injections. And the injections is the ovarian stimulation. The injections last for about 10 to 12 days. That you need to have them every day. And obviously we're scanning you every few days during that process to monitor your follicles and see that the size of the follicles is growing. And once the follicles become of a certain size, then we do their collection. And we do their collection, which requires a form of sedation. It's not general anesthetic, but it will just knock you down a bit, where we pass a needle and we suck the fluid from the follicles. And we hope that within those follicles there are eggs. And then we get Matthew's sperm, and we fertilize the egg and the sperm. So the process of IVF lasts for about 20 days.
Okay.
And around, so it says it's at 20 days. At what point do you, once you've hopefully like implantations happened and everything, what does that side look like?
So let's say 12 days of injections and the collection at the end of, then we wait for 5 or 6 days for the embryos to mature to become day 5 or day 6 embryo, and then we implant it back to you. So you will have the embryo transfer or the implantation about 5 or 6 days after the collection. And then we do the pregnancy. I mean, we don't need to rush, but we do a pregnancy test 10 days to 2 weeks from the embryo transfer.
And I know that you said obviously we're both sort of really good candidates for this to sort of work, but what are the general kind of success rates for people like us? And I know it's really hard to say, but generally, so we can get some idea and manage our kind of expectations.
Yeah. So the success rate for you guys will be around 40 to 50% per cycle. So let me just see. Yeah. So and you will be allowed to have one with the funding, NHS funding, we get one fresh cycle and one frozen cycle. So I think in Emma we will be able to collect a good number of eggs. She will have 2 goes under the NHS, which most likely will get a pregnancy. But of course, because we will collect a good number of eggs, if for some reason, if we're very, very unlucky and we don't get a pregnancy, you will have the option of using those embryos privately.
Yeah.
To do that. And it's about 1,500.
We are back at the hospital today. We are back at the fertility clinic. 9 o'clock. We're nice and early. We've been here a few times now.
We are now having what they call a coordination appointment. And we've got when I say we've got forms,
we got forms.
There's
loads
a
of
lot
forms to fill
of things,
in. Yeah.
Understandably, to fill out because there's a lot about the process. So hopefully today's our first in-person when it comes to the IVF. Obviously, we've had loads of tests, we've had loads of in-person appointments, but today, specifically to being like you're on you're doing it, it's the first in-person one, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's tablets to be taken, then we know there's injections, and we know the rough timelines of those, although they are subject to change and subject to many things.
But hopefully today we'll find out what that time frame is.
Yeah, and then we will kind of know when we would expect
we do know that from today, the process will begin within the next month, which is exciting because normally you go into an appointment not knowing how many weeks / months it's going to take to be seen again. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still kind of surreal, isn't it? I think actually we've spent the last 3 weeks, I'll speak for myself, spent the last 3 weeks really having to mentally accept and emotionally accept that we are going through IVF, going through, because so deeply to my core, I think I didn't necessarily think we'd get to this point. And so grateful.
You never do. No one ever does.
Yeah, you never do. You know, we knew it was a possibility, especially after it was taking a little while. But
yeah.
I think we both thought lucky that option's there, but hopeful that we won't need it. Gonna see how today goes. Really glad that it's in person because I think it's a lot easier to kind of connect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to do it, but I don't want to have to do it. I just feel really, we both just feel so hopeless and we've really so run out of steam, I think, and all of this is just going to take such a toll. Yeah. It's all just quite daunting as well, you know, like, you don't get taught about these things. And like having to put things in my body, I don't know how my body's going to react, and I can deal with feeling rubbish, but I can't control if these follicles and stuff are growing and it's not working in my favour for it to do that. That's the latest. Now we just have to wait a couple of weeks and then I start on these tablets.
So today is day 1 of taking these tablets. Northisterone, I think is how you say it. So yeah, don't really know why I'm filming. I guess maybe just document. I'll be honest, I'm feeling a bit not so sure today about things. I think there's a feeling of it feeling more real, that we really are going down this journey very, very soon. And there's like 2 parts. I'm very, very excited and grateful. It's also quite hard to swallow the reality of it, that this really is happening, and you know, it didn't happen in the way that we initially hoped or wanted. Just having to accept it, you know, that this really is happening, and you know, taking this little thing is starting that process even more officially. If a big part of this journey is just having quite consistent force of quite consistently having to change your expectation or your dream. You know, did I dream that it would take this long? No. Am I grateful that we still have this option? Yes, but it doesn't mean that I still don't have to grieve the last few years. You know, I hope to my core that this is successful, and we will do whatever is required of us, you know, take tablets, injections, the whole journey of IVF. But I don't know, each step it just feels like I have to rewire my brain a little bit. This little tablet is hopefully the start of a successful journey down the hatch. And that's day 1, tablet 1. So I filmed taking my first tablet, but it's now time for my last tablet. And Matt said, oh, let's take it together. Well, not take it, you're not taking it, but
I won't take one.
You'll be with me.
Probably for the best.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, we can eat some nice sushi.
Yeah. Accompanied by a nice takeaway.
Back at the hospital again
Yeah.
for...
Been a few, I don't know when the last time we would have filmed.
It would have been 4 weeks ago.
4
Because we would have
weeks.
had half of 14 days and then
Yeah.
and then 14 days on your tablets.
Yeah, that's it. So tablets taken, tablets stopped, cycle started technically yesterday. So today is day 2. So we called them yesterday. They said to come in today for what is the baseline scan, and that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Not really entirely sure on the steps after this. Obviously, we know that Emma needs to move on to take injections, but today hopefully we'll get some clarification on that. When does that start? Is it today? And what is that all doing? But
Hopefully it's today.
yeah,
If everything
soon,
is
soon.
fine, because I remember I had this scan back in May, and when I had it in May, and then blood test in June, and they said you're going to need to have another one when you start IVF anyway. So in my
Yeah.
mind, it's
that.
back then they said everything was fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, who knows? But I'm hoping, and from what they've given us document-wise, it says you have this baseline and then you start injections. So we're really hoping.
Really, from here on out now, I mean, if everything goes well, then it's
Touch
like
wood.
just another 4 weeks until
We know,
it's all kind of done, really.
which is crazy.
Everything's determined on the last thing
Results.
going okay and stuff. So it's difficult because you need to remain like flexible
Yeah, and present.
and just remain, just sort of really malleable with the whole process, which is quite difficult when it's something so important to us.
And it's difficult because we're completely at the mercy of the process. That's what we keep
Yeah.
saying. Mercy, it sounds like a bad thing, but
Yeah, but we
it's
are.
just, we just have to trust the process now. We're completely with them. Everything they tell us to do, any date, like from here on out, we could be here every other day for a scan.
But this is, hopefully a good day and a positive step and the next step. So let's see.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
First injection. Ooh.
This is the one.
This is the size of the needle.
We picked these up today.
They're not that dissimilar to my ones that I use
It's like
for my...
twice the size. We picked this up today in our appointment, and they spoke us through how to do it and stuff. Luckily, as part of your course and a few times anyway, I have done mats before. Obviously, it's you that's usually getting pricked.
Yes.
It's quite surreal, really, isn't it?
So you're taking 150. Yeah?
Yeah. Am I going to do it or are you going to
So
do
you've got
it?
900 mils in there. How many of these you got to take? For how long? Because you'll need to get another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be okay, honestly, it won't hurt.
We do it from behind me so that they're
Yeah.
at the same angle.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
You'll be okay. You honestly, baby, you're not going to feel this.
I will feel. Don't say that I won't feel it. 'Cause
You
I
will feel it, but it won't feel like anything.
Okay.
Grab something like that.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
No, my God, no.
Okay.
No, it's quite scary.
It's okay. Yeah?
Where are you gonna do it?
I'm going to do it there.
Can you do it like here?
Yeah? There. Do you want to watch or not?
Yeah.
Yeah? Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't happen.
I told you.
That was okay.
So these don't need to be kept in a fridge.
The needles.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
That could be the start of
Lots.